everyone, it's Julia, and today I'm going to be showing you one of my absolute favorite recipes for fall. These are pumpkin spice, ginger spice cupcakes. So they are so perfect for fall. The pumpkin is of course very seasonal right now. The ginger gives it that special something. They're frosted with a cinnamon maple cream cheese frosting. They are just so delicious. This recipe is for a dozen cupcakes and they're so great. So I really hope you guys enjoy this recipe. If you do and like it, I would really appreciate a thumbs up, and you can also get the full recipe with all the measurements and stuff on my blog. They're like bright orange. They're so perfectly seasonal. Enjoy the recipe, guys. I'm gonna be making these with a real pumpkin, so I don't use the canned stuff. Here they're called Hokkaido pumpkins. I don't know what they would be called in North America. And the really cool thing about this pumpkin is that you can use it with the peel on, because sometimes pumpkins can be really hard to peel. So yay, pumpkin season! I love pumpkins. Alright, so I have got my sexy apron on. So after you've washed it, you just cut the pumpkin in half. There you go. You're going to scrape out this inside stuff. Okay, so you want to take out the seeds. You can, if you want to roast them or something like that, you can definitely do that. So now the pumpkin's ready to be cut. Now probably for this recipe, one of these halves is enough, but I'm going to just make the whole thing because I'm going to use the rest of it for dinner tonight. So I'm just cutting the pumpkin now into sort of chunks, because we're going to, whoops! So they're about like this big. To make that pumpkin into puree, you're gonna have to first cook it a little bit. So I like to steam it. I've got a steamer right here, just some water on the bottom boiling. So you wanna go ahead and steam that for about 10 to 15 minutes. Just kind of stick a fork in it and see, how soft they are. They should be really soft and done. So while that pumpkin is cooking, let me just quickly show you the other ingredients that you're going to need. So you're going to need some regular table salt, some different kinds of spices. So I'm using cloves, this is cinnamon, and some allspice. This in German, if you're making this recipe, it's called Piment. You might have to find this at like a special spice store. You're also going to need some vanilla extract. I like to use a vanilla bean paste. So I like to use that instead of the liquid stuff. I think it just tastes a bit more real. You're gonna need 2 eggs, some soda, baking soda. So in German, it is called Natron. You're gonna need some crystallized ginger, which is really awesome. You could probably get this at your grocery store. You can get this sometimes in like Asian supermarkets. And you're gonna just have to chop that up. I'm also gonna take some instant pudding. This is vanilla. And then you're also going to need some sugar. This is a mixture of brown sugar on the bottom and white sugar. Mine is actually not real white sugar. I like to use a sugar replacement. So I'm using stevia crystal. You're also going to need butter, which I've already put in here. And in here I've got a flour mixture of whole wheat flour and white flour. Again, you can do this all white. I just personally like to make it a little bit healthier by using whole wheat flour. And you're also going to need some fresh ground ginger. I like to just use a fresh ginger. If you want to use the dried stuff, you can do that. I just think personally that fresh ground ginger tastes better. My pumpkin has been cooking or steaming for about 15 minutes, and I just tried one with a knife and it was definitely like coming out very easily. The pumpkin's like, whoo, check out that steam. So yeah, the pumpkin's like really, really soft. If you're making a lot of recipes in the fall with pumpkin and you want to use fresh pumpkin, you can make like a bunch of this ahead of time and freeze it, and then like before you make the recipe, you can just thaw it out. So that way you don't have to make this step every single time, because it really tastes so much better, especially for like Thanksgiving. If you're making like pumpkin pie or whatever, it tastes so much better. So I'm going to use a hand mixer now to puree this, okay? So if you don't have this, you can use like a potato masher, or one of those like, things that you just mash potato. And I'm just mashing this up. Here you can see how the pumpkin puree looks, all right? You can see it's really smooth now. So it's really hot right now, so I'm just gonna let that cool down a moment. So I'm gonna go ahead and beat up the sugar with the butter. And then I'm going to beat that together with an electric hand mixer. Alright, so next I'm going to add in the eggs. So I'm going to do these one at a time. So at this point I'm also going to add in the vanilla. And then you're also gonna add in the pumpkin puree that you made. If you use the canned stuff, you can do that. So I'm just gonna give that another quick whisk so it's all blended. Before I mix the wet ingredients, which should look something like that now. So it's kind of a runny, very runny mixture. I'm gonna mix that mix the flour with that in a second. And I just totally realized I forgot to add all the spices. So I am gonna do that now. So I'm going to add allspice, some cinnamon, and some cloves. Also going to be adding the fresh ground ginger, and the crystallized ginger I'm going to be adding about half of it because the other half I'm going to be using for decorating. So before I incorporate it with the wet stuff, I am going to just quickly give that a whir. And then I also forgot to put in the baking soda and also the pudding mixture and the salt. Can't forget that. And the reason you're putting salt into most ingredients is, I don't know, it just tastes better. So I am going to be just incorporating that bit by bit. It's already starting to smell really good. When you make cupcakes or muffins, if you actually mix too much, it can kind of give the pumpkin or the cupcake a really strange texture. They'll kind of rise more than they should. In the middle, it'll have these kind of mountainous peaks. So now I've prepared my cupcake or my muffin tin. I just put in some paper liners, and I just like to use 2 spoons to do this. So I have preheated my oven to 175 degrees Celsius, which is 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and I am going to be baking these cupcakes for about 20 minutes. So I'm going to just slide those in. Set the timer 20 minutes, and they should spring back lightly. So kind of just keep an eye on them, and then you can either insert a toothpick or just see, if they puff up a little bit, then they're done. So while those cupcakes are baking, I'm going to be making the cream cheese maple frosting, which is going to go on top. So for that, you're going to need some plain cream cheese. So in German, this is Frischkäse, something like Philadelphia. Then you're also going to add butter, some of that. I'm also going to add a little bit of cinnamon to this because I think that was going to taste really nice on those cupcakes. And I'm also going to be adding a tablespoon or maybe like 2 of really dark maple syrup. So this is the maple syrup, this is Canadian maple syrup number 3 dark, which I love, and I can't even buy this here, so I got my mom actually to bring this from Canada. Nothing beats the real stuff in my opinion. And then bit by bit, I'm going to be whisking in the powdered sugar. Best part. So I'm going to stick the frosting into the fridge just so that it can cool before I put it onto the finished cupcakes. So my cupcakes have finished baking. I just took them out of the oven, so I am just going to let them sit for about 10 minutes in this pan before I transfer them to a wire rack to cool completely. Oh, they smell so good already. Okay, so the cupcakes are back here and they are cooled down, and I have gotten the frosting out of the fridge, and that's nice and cold now too. So we are ready to frost our cupcakes. So I'm just going to frost with a spoon. You can do cool, like, with the piping technique. A lot of you guys won't even have equipment for that. So I'm just gonna grab a spoon and just I'm gonna be pretty generous with the frosting because I've got a lot of frosting, all right. Just gonna grab a little bit of the ginger. This is the little leftover ginger from before, so the crystallized ginger, and I'm gonna sprinkle that on top. So here's your first cupcake. These pumpkin cupcakes, these would be so perfect for like Halloween or something like that. Sort of more Halloween-y decorations. Alright, so I have gone ahead, just frosted a few of them. I've still got a few left. I just wanted to show you guys the finished result of what they look like. Aren't they just so cute? And they look nice and they smell, oh my god. Ginger, pumpkin, the spices, these are absolutely the perfect fall treat. Look at the color. They're like, wow. Oh my god. Wow. I mean, I can't finish the video before I eat this whole thing up. Guys, these are seriously the best cupcakes ever. They're so fluffy. These are absolutely fantastic. I think this is one of my favorite recipes ever. It's so good. They're so fall. I really hope you guys try out this recipe and give it a shot because they are definitely worth the special effort, and you'll love them, I'm sure of it. And of course you can download the whole recipe and get all the measurements and stuff on my blog. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you very soon. Happy fall, everyone! And a tablespoon of maple syrup, and it's always like, my mom brought this maple syrup for me, and it is like, oh my god, it's like impossible to open this thing. When cooking videos go wrong.